I like that strange music that we pick. I know a lot of people, those if you know me, I always open up by playing different kinds of music and whatnot. I don't like the average kind of music. I like stuff that has a unique groove to it. The soulful groove, but I like the unique stuff. I don't like today's R&B, and I don't like what's being passed off as soul, called neo soul. I don't really like that too much. I mean, you had some people who did justice to it, but now it's noise. So I like to find things we can groove to, take us on a higher level, get us thinking outside the box of what they call music or noise today. So tonight we're going to be talking about created people and manifested people. Right, it's a brother on Facebook who got me to thinking about this again, right? Because I did a broadcast months and months and months ago, probably like last year, and I touched on it, but I never really went into it as deep as I'm going to go tonight, because it's necessary to explain this. This is very necessary, because what you're about to see take place in the next possibly about 20 to 25 years, you're going to start to see a separation in the mentality of our, well, it's already happening, a separation in the mentality of our people, but it's going to become major, right? You're starting to see it already, where you're seeing black people losing their minds and bugging out and doing things they don't, we as so-called quote-unquote black people never did or thought to do, right? I'm going to just say it straight up. They following the ways of the white man and the rest of the human race. I mean, the low level, right? They're adopting the philosophies, the mentality, and all the, beliefs of the humans, I refer to them as. Those of you who have never heard my broadcast before, I state, and I've logically proven, that black people, so-called black people, are not part of the human race, that we are a totally different species of being, a totally different species of physical being, right? We are totally different. Now, you do have black people who are a part of the human race, who were created here, right? You do have that. This is what we're going to go into tonight when we're talking about the difference between those who are manifested people, meaning people who are from beyond this solar system, who were transported here, right? Who are the extensions of that God race, who I refer to as the Amen beings, right? Not the human beings, but the Amen beings. Those omni beings, those omni mental or supreme beings, those beings, that God race, who are advanced, right? Far more than human beings. They are the creators of the human race. The human race were bred down here on earth, right? From the water and the soil and all this other stuff, right? They were created here on earth, right? Your human race, your created people, are your artificial people, because anything you have to create is artificial. Your manifested people or your natural people are the people who come out of something else, out of the bloodline or the genetic of that God race. That is so-called, or a percentage of so-called black people today. A percentage of the so-called black people are linked to that God race known as the Amen beings, right? A percentage of them. How do you know that? Their thoughts are different from everyone else's, right? I put a few things up, dropped a few hints to let you know who's the manifested beings, those coming from the genetics and the bloodline of God, who we refer to as Amen, or that supreme being, or that supreme race of people. These are people we're talking about. These are not spooks. These are not apparitions. These are not unseen beings. These are actual physical people who are advanced mentally and physically, right? Way more advanced than your human race. They are the creators of your human race. Your human race are your East Indians, your white people, your Asian, Chinese people, right? Your so-called Negro or black man, right? As an extension, and black woman, as an extension of this God race, are the creators of these people. You have people like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Dr. Malachi York break down bits and pieces of this account, right? I don't say story, because when I say story, people automatically think you're making it up. But logically, they broke down, and I'm going to go deeper into it, break down the account of how everyone got here, logically, right? I said that your first humans, right, were your East Indians. Your first humans, the people who had melanin, are your East Indians. I said that our people does not have melanin. We have a carbon coating to our skin. That was all transported here from another place, from another planet, another realm, another solar system, totally, right? Like I said, you could look at our people here, and you could tell by just the base of the fact that this is a planet of water, right? 3/4 of the planet is filled with water. This is a water planet, right? Why is it a water planet? Because in order to breed life, you have to have water. What life was bred here? Your human life, your animal life, right? And what are your humans if not a more advanced form of animal? Why? Because these almond beings who came here, they took their genetics and crossbred them with evolving DNA of animals that they brought here as well. And they created human beings. Your East Indians first in the experiment, your Asians, and then your white race. Human beings. This is why they have what is known, what they refer to as hair is actually fur, right? Growing from their scalps. They have fur. They're still covered like animals because they were created. They are a thrown together experiment, your human race. They showed you this. Now, I know a lot of people, they'll sit and they'll say, oh, well, this is a little hard to believe. I'm not asking you to believe. I'm asking you to think logically about what I'm saying to you, right? Why is it that our people look so different from everyone else? I said that we had to be transported here, the manifested ones, to a watery planet. Because if we were bred here, our hair wouldn't look like this. Our hair would not be standing in the air. Our hair would not be going against the gravitational pull of this planet. It would be falling down into the levitational. Let me go back. I said our hair would fit into the gravitational pull of this planet, meaning it would fall down or grow downward, like the human race. But instead, our hair grows up, because that denotes that we come from beyond here as celestial beings, not terrestrial, celestial beings, right? We are not from this place. We are the natural manifestations of a God race. Many of our people were left here on this side on earth. Why were we left here as manifested genetics or manifested DNA or descendants, meaning those who fell down, going back to the account of the so-called fallen messengers, which is a real account of a people who were sent here. God sent people, right? What is the word sent really short for? God sentenced people. Sentenced, as in sentenced to a punishment or an imprisonment. These were the God-sent people, or the fallen beings that came here who were trapped into this world. And they looked like what you refer to as black people, women and men. They were a supreme race of people. They bred in them a artificial race of people, a created race, a human race. When you talk about the book of Genesis and the creation of man, going all the way back to the cuneiform and the ᴄRᴇ훠 and the Gilgamesh epics and the creation of man, they're talking about the creation or the genesis or the genetic manipulation and the origin of the human race, right? Our genesis is not in the human, and is not in the origin of the human race. I said that as so-called black people, our genesis, well, the elect ones, I should say, are not in the origin of the human race. When you hear about the creation of an atom, right, on earth, in water, right? Because all life is bred in water. Your scientists will agree on that as well, right? Thus, creating an artificial being, a water being, I think you'll agree that this spawned forward a new race of people, people who are relative to this planet, right? People outside this planet would not bear the marks of this planet. They would not bear the marks of a water planet. Our people bear the marks of coming from a solar planet, right? Though this planet is in the solar system and moving around, right? In a solar system, it is not a solar planet. It is a water planet, right? It is deriving its energy or its heat from the sun, right? Which was really meant to give life to those, or give life to the people who were trapped here orphaned in this world, the almond beings of the almond race, right? Those who are extensions of the almond race. It's no coincidence that the black man always and the black woman had no problem with accepting the fact, or well, some of our people did, had no problem with accepting the fact that the so-called black man was God or a supreme being or other than the so-called human race, because that's part of our memory. Though some of our memory was lost because of the race mixing and the mixing outside of our race, which is mixing into the human race, the artificial race, it erased bits and pieces of our reception, or that which was locked in our brains, locked in our memory. It erased away parts of our memory. That's why we'll get glitches where we remember certain things as manifested people, not as created people. Because as I said, created people are artificial people. Manifested people are natural people. People who came about and created a nature system here. Because as I said, nature is not a woman. Nature is not a god. Nature is a system that was created on the planet based on time. So being that nature is a system based on time and the creation of and the sprouting up of life, those people who created this system, this God race, this advanced people, had to leave a bloodline here. Why did they leave a bloodline here? Why did they talk about the gods that came down and walked the planet? They left a bloodline here to keep the law on the planet and keep the order here. And they set up the first civilizations with those descendants who were here, that bloodline. They mixed in with the human creation, which was your East Indians and some of your ancient Africans, right? And they did this because there weren't enough women on this side that came with the 200 fallen, or the ones who were locked into this planet. So they mixed their seed. And in mixing their seed, they sectioned themselves off away from those people after they mixed their seed, right? They went into certain areas and set up governments and kingdoms and the first planet, like your Samaria, like your Egypt, and they locked out the rest of the so-called humans. They locked them out, right? They locked them out. They had the immigration law. They didn't let the human race in, and they didn't let people in from other ethnic backgrounds. This was a law on order that was given to them by those almond beings, because once they started coming, receiving the reception to come to another land and start a government, meaning the first governmental order on earth after the order of Amen, they were supposed to cut everybody else out, because everybody else was part of the artificial creation. They were the ones that were supposed to pass law and move forward, right? Start the forward evolution on the planet. These ascendants, or should I say these descendants from the God race. They were the descendants from the God race, right? So as they started moving forward and setting up governments, you notice our people were talking about Amen, but we got infused and mixed in with people. They knew those Amen beings, those God race. They knew that the bloodline would purify itself and that their genetic would take hold in a certain elect people. That's why they put their bloodline down here on earth. They planted their bloodline purposely within the human race, right? They planted their bloodline those manifested beings, those almond beings who got locked on this other side, they planted their bloodline within the human race. That's why if you look at the account where it says, and this goes even beyond the Bible, because the Bible copied this, where it said the sons of God came down and went in unto the daughters of men. They planted their seed within the human race, which were your first East Indians and your ancient Africans, right, to breed children who would receive reception at a certain point in time, right? And they would come together and start following the order of the almond beings. That was all a plan. And they knew that eventually their DNA would kick in. And it's starting again right now. That's why, when, like I said, when our people went and we separated from Africa, or the Africans, we started building kingdoms and empires in which you call the Middle East today, which is they call part of Africa, even though that's a mindset or a name that the white man gave to that part of the world. But we were going all over setting up governments and kingdoms because we were receiving reception from those almond beings to do so, to set up governmental empires, the first societies, the first civilizations, building pyramid cities, right? Whereas you look at your Africans and your ancient and your primitive people and your East Indians, they didn't do what we did because they weren't in connection with those almond beings. They were created people. They're not descendants or manifested beings or connected to these almond beings, right? The almond beings send reception, live reception, to those who carry the bloodline, right? Like I said, we all got our jump start on earth by having a human conception. We got those of us who are of the elect, the God-sent people. Those of us who are of the elect got their jump start when the almond beings or the God beings planted their bloodline or their seed inside of women, the daughters of man, right? That's how we started. That's our manifestation on this planet. I said that there is an elect people, a God race that are moving amongst the black race. I said the whole black race is not God or connected with God. Some of the black race are part of the human race. Some of them are part of the artificial DNA that was left down here, right? Some of the black race are part of the artificial DNA that was left down here. That's why when they hear knowledge that is God sent knowledge, they don't understand the difference. That's why they look to man first and foremost before they look beyond man, before they lock into a higher logic or higher intelligence. I said on Facebook, I said that the majority or the people who are of the manifestation, the people who are of the God genetic, the almond genetic, they can pull intelligence out of the air because almond is always sending reception through the atmosphere. So they will be able to pull reception out of the air. Whereas those people who were born here, your humans, they will seek out information from man because they don't have that connection. They're not linked to it. That's why I said you got those, and even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said you got those who are blind, deaf, and dumb, right? Meaning when he said that, he meant that these people are disconnected from the intelligence of God. They are disconnected from the reception of God because they are not of God. They're not part of that bloodline manifestation. Some of you who can hear this message, you can differentiate and understand and even acknowledge that this is not knowledge that is man-made. It's not knowledge that is information. It is intelligence that is based in logic that is coming from on high. Those people who can acknowledge that you are the God-sent people. You are the people who have the God gene or the almond gene. You are part of the elect that is spoken about in future state in the book of Revelation, where they would gather. That's why I talked about 144,000 out of the rest of the world, because the rest of the world are part of the creation. They're not part of the manifestation. They're not part of the God genetic that was planted here. You understand? Your scientists, they talk about, could it be that God planted his bloodline, these God, he calls them extraterrestrials, right? Meaning celestial beings, meaning beings that were not born here. He talks about how they planted their bloodline in woman and man in a so-called human genetic to evolve into a God race. And that's true. They just saying that now. I've been saying that. that we planted out, that the God race, the almond beings planted their bloodline inside of the human race to bring about this evolution that you're seeing right now. The first resurrection or the first evolution was that of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the Nation of Islam. He was a God-sent man. He was a God-sent man. He's of the bloodline, right? Dr. York was of the bloodline. Still is of the bloodline, a descendant. That's why he kept referring to himself as a receiver. And what these receivers do, they have the ability, they carry the ability of the God race, the almond beings, to shift and be opened up to receive reception from different realms. This is real. Right? This is how they're able to produce books, lead nations, and things like that, because they're receiving their intelligence or their reception straight from the almond beings, the God race, which is what the white man now is receiving his intelligence from to set up governments. Because, as I said, he's tapping into our reception, into the almond reception, to set up his governments and receive his intelligence and power on earth. Because we fell out of reception with the God race, with the almond beings, and we started following mankind. We lost our reception, and they picked it up. We lost our clear connection, our reception. Okay? I'm a little late into starting, introductions for those of you who don't know who I am. I am the intellectual Nuben Menkares, and this is State of Mental Radio, and tonight we're talking about the God-sent people, right? Those who are the manifestations versus those who are the creations of God. The manifestations of the bloodline connections to God, the bloodline links. I am a descendant of the almond beings. I have a bloodline connection to the almond beings. That's why I'm able to receive and give out this intelligence today. Now, only the elect will be able to acknowledge it, and it will resonate in the minds of the elect as truth of the true and living God. These people who don't get it, but, that sounds like something from a fairy tale, and that sounds like some Sumerian stuff. That sounds like some Egyptian stuff. Let me tell you something. The Sumerians and the Egyptians, they had bits and pieces of the puzzle. Our reception is supposed to be stronger moving into the future. We didn't have to look back and read any books. The ones who are in reception don't have to look back and read books or rely on man like those of you who are of the human race. You have to rely on man because your reception or your pilot light is not lit, meaning that you are not receptionaries. You're not receivers of almond's intelligence. You ever notice, like I said, the majority of a lot of our people can listen to something, you can hear the purity of it, the pure intelligence in it, the pure logic, versus those who can't. They'll discard it. They won't even listen, or they'll try to find all they can do is run back to Egypt and talk about Egypt or Africa, and we're not even talking about no Egypt or Africa. We're talking about something that's based in logic and intelligence, and all they can do is run back to Egypt and Africa. In other words, it's them showing their ignorance, that they don't have any idea or any clue, or it's not resonating in their heads because they're not of the God gene. A lot of your black race, 2/3 of your black race are not of the God genetic. They are human. That's why they're following the white man right now and the rest of the human race. They are no different than the rest. They are no different. That's why even if after you tell these Negroes there's no Jesus Christ and that Jesus was made up and you go into proving it, they still go, well, I'm going to still follow Jesus. Because it's in them to do that. It's not in them to accept the truth. It's not in them. The truth does not resonate to the majority of the black race, because they are of the created. They're going to follow man regardless of what you tell them. They're going to mix their seed regardless of what you say. Or they've been mixed down so much that they can't key into that reception. It's in your DNA. If you are of the elect, it's in your DNA to seek out another one who is of the elect and mix your bloodline with them. That's why if you ever wonder, you brothers who look might like a sister and whatnot, you be like, why she don't like me? What's about me? Why she don't like me? Or you sisters might like a brother, why you don't like me? And, and you might got some knowledge and things like that, and you trying to advance, but you think some brother is cute, or you brothers will think a sister look good, but she ain't feeling you, and you like, man, I look like a nice looking guy, and this, that, and the third, and but why she feeling that dude over there? Because she's not of your bloodline. She's not of your reception. She is of the creation. That's why she gets these lowly Negroes and these other people she'll lay with the beast, because she is of the creation as well. You come from a royal bloodline, a blue bloodline, a real blue bloodline, a celestial bloodline of the Amen beings. Some of our people are royal beings walking amongst regular Negroes. Blood, I'm not talking about no earthbound Africans. Because these blacks that's sitting around here talking about, I'm from Africa and I'm from this, that, and the third, you are of the human genetic. You are of the creation. Why? Because you identify with a landmass. If you are of God's genetic, you wouldn't even be talking about or claiming any area on this planet, because you would know we're not even from here. If you are from the bloodline and from the genetic connection with God, you wouldn't even know that you're from here. The ancient Kemites and the ancient Pharaohs and the Nubians, they would always say they wasn't from Egypt. They would say they from where the gods is from. They acknowledged that they came from the bloodline of God, that they were connected to those beings, those beings from another world, those Amen beings. That's why they put the statues up of them, those future beings. But it's not for the majority of our people. It's not for the majority of the so-called black race. That's why I kept talking about the separation within the so-called black race, the bright ones from the ignorant ones, or the bright ones from the black ones, because the black ones are part of the human creation. The ones who just got it, like I said, they are the ones who always end up trying to be the carbon copies of the white race or the human beings, because they feel they are the same. When the white man yells power or white power, they yell black power. When they yell, they want to be black versions of the human race. They want to be just like the white man and everybody else. They can't help yelling Africa. They can't help. Even me and the associate had a conversation about this. Right, today, I said that, and I said to him a long time ago, I said the only reason black people are interested in Egypt, these so-called Egyptologists, is because the white man likes Egypt. Because I remember Dr. Sebi saying, y'all talking about Egypt so much, he said, but their pyramids bigger and been there just as long or longer in South America that y'all don't go and see, yet you go to Egypt and look at those pyramids. And our people built those pyramids on the other side as well. But you don't go there or you don't acknowledge that. All y'all talk about is Egyptology, because the white man was interested in Egypt. That's why y'all got interested in it. That's why Dr. Ben and them started getting interested in Egypt. They don't talk about South America. They don't talk about what our people did over there, because it's in them to follow mankind, because they are of the creation. They're not of the manifestation of the natural connection, the bloodline of God. They don't even acknowledge God. They right now, that's why you know it's a lot of the so-called black people who are in the conscious community, in the conscious movement. Now they saying there is no God. Where'd that come from? The white man. They're saying there is no supreme being. Or they still talking about Jesus and Allah and Jehovah or Yahweh or Yahweh. That's the people who follow the beliefs and the man-made creation or the artificial creation of God that they took from the real God, Amen, right? They follow that artificial intelligence on God, or that information on God. They accepted the information. You understand that? They accepted the information on God because they, by nature, in their bloodline, it's in them to follow man and not God. It's in them to always sit around. It's going to always be these people talking about black power, reparations, Moorish science, and all this other stuff. They're going to be doing that to the end of the day. They're going to constantly, all their interactions are always going to be back and forth with the white man. Why? Because they have a natural affinity to follow the creation or the human race. They will mix their seed with them in secret and do all these things because they have a natural affinity to follow the human race, because they are part of the human race. It's not in them to understand or have a comprehension of who and what God is. No matter how logically you explain it to them, they can't see it. They can't accept it because logically it's not going to resonate to them. The intelligence of God will not resonate in their mind because they are not of the God race. They are not of the Amen beings. To break this down logically, they're going to wait for the white man to say it or the Asian or whoever to say it. You understand? They got to wait for him. They can't understand or comprehend the intelligence of God that's being sent into this atmosphere right now. They don't get it. To them, that's spooky or over our head. That sounds crazy. Really? Really? Well, where did your knowledge of Allah come from? Where did your knowledge of these Jesus come from? It came from the white man. It came from the white Arabs. It came from those people. And their misinformation or them trying to cause confusion by taking intelligence about Amen that they found from our people, then they took it and mixed the information around and created an information base or a religious order, and they incorporated you into it, and you adopted their philosophies. You didn't reject them, you adopted them, because it's in you naturally to follow mankind. It's in you to follow the beast. It's not in you to follow God. It's in you to put the beast up as God. The ones of our people who rejected that and were seeking the God within themselves and the God outside themselves to make that connection, those are the people who are the manifestations of God, that natural bloodline. Right? They can hear my voice. What I'm saying, my words resonate to them because it logically makes sense. Long as I've been standing up and teaching, I've never had anybody come and say, "Oh, well, what you say," they'll say, "I don't. What I'm saying is not real." I say, "Okay, then I explain it to you logically." Then they can't answer. They decline. They listen to the broadcast quietly as guests. They sneak and listen, take bits and pieces, just like how the white man did. Take bits and pieces of what's being said that they want to incorporate into their philosophy, and then mix it in with what the white man or the Arab or the East Indian did and give it back to our people to cause more confusion. Because that is the mentality of a created one. A created person is one who was created in confusion. He was created in a state of confusion, in a state of chaos. Do they not talk about the chaotic order of creation in your Bibles? They talk about the chaotic order of creation. That is mankind. That is not just the planet. That's talking about mankind. Those who were created here on earth in water. Those who were created on dry land. Yes, our bloodline, the Amen being bloodline, was implanted within the human race, but we are not of the human race. Just like we're standing here on earth, and we are in the world, but we are not of the world. Our mentality, our mind is totally someplace else. That's the same way when you come amongst your family and they'll hear this message and they can't digest it, they can't receive it because it's not for them. They're not part of the reception. They were only meant to be vessels for you to come here. That's it. You were implanted in them. Your bloodline and your seed was meant to be carried in them for the day when the time would come where the elect would be raised and you would be chosen to come forward and be part of the elect. Because this started back since the beginning of time here on this planet, where the God race, the Amen beings planted their bloodline here, and they left their children here. They left their descendants here. They left their God children, men, women, here, hiding under the black race. And to this time when we start to find out that we are the Mentalians, the Amen beings, the bright race, that we are coming out of the black race, coming out of the darkness, coming out of the ignorance of a people who were bred here on earth in darkness and water, in the so-called primordial abyss. Like I said, you ever notice these Negroes who sit up here and talk about, they go back and forth with the racial pride, but they'll always say they're part of the human race. We were saying we wasn't part of the human race. We said we're part of the Amen race. We are totally different species. I said the racism that our people experience here in this country has nothing to do with color of skin. I said because if that was the case, then you would see the East Indians getting discriminated against, or the Asians, or these people. They're not the same color as the white man, but they are the same creation. They are part of the human race. I said that our discrimination comes from the fact that we are not part. Our racial discrimination comes from the part that the point and the fact that we're not part of the human race. You understand that? The time is now. Those of our people who are engaging in the things of the beast, you are not part of the God genetic. If you engage in homosexuality, lesbianism, right? If you engage in all these things of the beast, you're not part of the God race, because the God race does not advocate that, because it makes no logical sense. The God race moves in logical lines. They think in logical lines. They don't move on philosophical ways of thinking. That's from man. That's confusion. All of man's thoughts are based in confusion. Circles, right? Rituals. All of his thoughts are based in rituals. Those of you can hear this logic that's outside the box. That's a sign that God is sending his reception. Amen is sending his reception to a people on earth, his elect right now. He started the reception. He started it because you're not going to hear this knowledge coming from any place else. This intelligence of mentellect is not coming from inside the box of this world. You're not going to find it no place else. That's because God is calling on his manifested ones. He's calling on the manifested people. He's sending them reception again. And a lot of you are hearing it. A lot of you are hearing it. It's going in one ear and right out the other. You hear it, but you're not able to listen to it. What do I mean by that? I say you're able to hear it. In other words, you hear the sounds coming out of my mouth, but you're not able to receive it. You're not able to take it in. Just like the church people used to say, I'm trying to receive what you're saying. They can't receive it. The black race can't receive mentellect. Only the bright race can. That's why I always say, I'm not here to teach the black race. I'm not here to teach the black race. I'm not here to teach the created people. You understand? They can listen. I don't care. They can listen, but I'm not here to teach the created. I'm here to teach the manifested ones, the elect. That's who this message is for. It's for the elect in this day and time. God said that he would send his people back or make reception to his people. Send. Because our sentence is almost up. As the God sent people, our sentence is almost up. Where the punishment is going to be lifted. What is the punishment? As I said, the punishment is the punishmental block that went between us and the connection with God, the reception. That would have evolved us to a higher state of being. But because we were disconnected from God, we didn't receive God's reception. Look at us now. We were able to go under, or God allowed his arm and allowed our people to go under control of the beast. He allowed our people to go under control to his religion, under his Islam, under his Christianity, under his Judaism, under his Pan-African titles and his Moorish science and all this other stuff. He allowed our people to go under that. Even after you tell these Negroes in the Moorish science, you tell them Islam come from is some philosophy from the white man, they still don't want to hear that. They still yelling Islam, Islam, Islam. Right? They ain't still, because like I said, it's in them not to follow the logic of God. It's in them to reject the logic of God for the philosophies of man. It's in them to do that. Don't listen to the black race, because I said the black race is in a state of confusion because they were created in a chaotic state with the rest of the human race. They were created in that chaotic state here in the water on earth, the majority of your black race. And those of you who are of the bright race, of the almond beings, you were meant to keep order on earth. You understand? You were meant to keep order on earth. Don't look to the black race to accept this message. It's not for them. This is not a black doctrine. This is a bright doctrine. What do I mean by a bright doctrine? It is for the solar intelligent ones, because Amen sends intelligence via solar communication. Right? Solar communication. Your elect have implanted in them a receptor in their brain to receive certain communications. You have a receptor planted in your brain to receive certain communications from on high. That's why you can hear it versus those who cannot. Right? Your ᴘᴏ ammonis is sharper. The antennas on it is sharper. Your frequency on the ᴘᴏ ammonis, which is your hippocampus area, is functioned or frequented a different way. It receives reception on a higher level than the average ones. The ᴘᴏ ammonis. Look it up. That is your cornu ammonis, your hippocampus area, where you receive your messages. Right? Those horns are antennas. They're meant to pull in reception. Yours are shaped differently. Yours are aimed differently, pointed differently. All right? That's why a lot of you are starting to wake up in this day and time. A lot of you are going to places called spiritual places and things like spiritual classes. Like I was speaking to this person about that, about spirituality. I said, no, it's a mental connection that's being made with Amun and his people, the Amun race. It's a mental connection. It's not a spiritual connection. It's a mental connection. You got the words wrong. Amun is making a mental connection with his people. He is raising an elect group of his people. Like, and the person was telling me, he said, it's not for everybody. It's funny how they tuned in, knowing that God's intelligence is not for everybody. Why is that? If we all supposed to be of God, why would you say God's intelligence is not for everybody? Why? Because that was their way of saying, and they didn't even realize it, that God left a bloodline here that only he can communicate with, versus those who are on a lower reception and can only communicate with man. They only can hear the thoughts of man, the submental thoughts of man. They can only accept the information and the beliefs and the philosophies and the ideologies of man. They can't hear the intelligence of God because they're not of God. They're not of the bloodline connection. So to try and explain this to the majority of the black races, you'll be wasting your time. The elect is supposed to come together in this day and time so that we can breed a new generation of elect ones, the bright ones, a new generation of Amun beings on earth. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Now, like I said, I know to the majority of the people that have turned in, they done tuned out by now. That's good. I'm glad you did. It's not for you. It's supposed to sound crazy to you. Well, my words are supposed to sound crazy to the people who are thoroughly inculcated, the ones who are thoroughly human inside, because they don't recognize what I'm saying. Like I said, they can recognize the words of your what's the guy's name? What's that guy's name? The one who did the thing on Sumeria, the Sumerians. His name escapes me right now. Right? ᴇᴇ Stitchens. You can recognize the words of ᴇᴇ Stitchens, Dr. Ben, and all of them. It's all the same people. And I'm not taking shots at Dr. Ben, but I'm just saying he's earthbound. He's an earthbound person. Just like ᴇᴇ Stitchens is no different. It's just shades of darkness. There's no mental connection with God. Only earthbound. That's why, like I said, he went in and found historical things that were left behind. Man-made, I said, the people who understand the difference between man-made information and God-sent intelligence, those are your Amun beings. We know the difference. We knew the difference between God-sent information and man-made information. I mean, God-sent intelligence and man-made information. Your historians, they go and find man-made information, meaning historical things that were planted, things like that about their life. They go in and record that and write it down. These are the people who seek out man-made information. They're not in tune with God-sent intelligence. They're not in tune with it. Right? They're not in tune with that. People like your Dr. York and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they were in tune with that. And when I heard them talk and I heard them say things, I knew they were in tune with it. You understand? I knew they were in tune with it. We knew the difference. Those of our people who are not in tune, they, like I said, they're going to fall behind and follow the ways of the beast. That's why you notice, like I said, today you see the young generation of kids. When I did the inculcated children, these are the children of your human creation. These are the ones who are of the creation. That's why they following the beast. That's why they mixing their seed with the humans. That's why they trying to act like the humans. They perming their hair. The women perming their hair like the humans. The men are mixing their seed with the humans. As I said, for those of you who tuned in, your human race are your East Indians, your white race, and your so-called Asians or Chinese. All right? Those who were made here on this planet in water, and those who left out of the water and went into the mountains, into the caves in the Caucasus Mountains. Right? Those who've inhabited cities after we left them and came behind us and built societies slowly. Right? Because at one time we spread our bloodline throughout the planet. But then through mixing with the human beings, right, it slowed down the almond genetic. It weakened the reception. Now we're supposed to be rising as a new race of people to receive this intelligence. But if you notice, now in this day and time, they pushing intermingling or interracial sex and connection, telling about we all the same now, and we got to get together, and they pushing this heavily in the society. Why? Why are they pushing this so heavily in society? Could it be that the almond beings whose bloodline was implanted in the human race are starting to wake up? Yes. The almond beings whose bloodline was implanted in the human race, as it was meant, was a time for them to start to wake up. You were supposed to come amongst the humans, meaning your family, those of you who were considered the black sheep of the family. Remember that? They said you were the black sheep of the family. You looked at your aunts, your uncles, your father, your mother, and you're like, why y'all acting like that? What's wrong with y'all? And they looking at you like, what's wrong with you? Y'all don't get each other. You came through them, but you were not of them. You came through them. You came through your mother's birth canal. You came through your father's testicles, but your intelligence is from God. It's not from them. You got certain people who come through their parents. They really are of their parents because their parents are earthbound. Their parents are terrestrial people. Then you have those who are of the celestial connection, where the almond beings kept sending their bloodline, kept sending their genetic connection through. Right? So it was all meant to happen in order for our people to wake up. We had to experience this thing here. The almond beings who came through the human bloodline to understand the human bloodline, to understand the attitudes of human nature. Right? And those of you who are truly of the almond genetic, you understand human nature just fine now. So now you're starting to wake up. You are the almond beings. You are those statue people who was up in Egypt. You are those people, because those people were not made in Egypt. Those people came through Egypt, and the Egyptians built statues to those people who were your futuristic beings or your almond beings, and they are continuing in your bloodline. It is meant for our people to wake up as the elect in this day and time. It is meant for our people to wake up as the elect in this day and time and come out of the black race, come out of the human mindset. The majority of our people, like I said, the majority of the black race are not going to get this. They are not our people. Those of you who are of the bright race, you know. You look at what the black race is doing. Tell me they're not becoming degenerate. Why? Because they have too much of the human genetic in them. They are of the human race. It was meant for them to start descending. And it was meant for only a chosen few to come up out of them. The human race was meant to be a breeding ground for the almond race in order for our reception to strengthen. I'm going to say it again. The black race, aka the human race, which is part of the black race now, they were meant to be a breeding ground for an evolutionary reception to take place. In other words, we were supposed to become smarter, being around the so-called humans, being around the white man, being around the black man, being around all these other people in order to breed a bright race. We were supposed to become smarter than them. We were not supposed to be indulging. You understand? We were not supposed to be indulging in this race mixing with these people. You know? We were not supposed to be indulging in this. The funny thing is, the people who will say, oh, brother, where you getting this from? This, that, and the third. You know what they really mean? They don't recognize it because it doesn't come from their earthbound sources. It doesn't come from their terrestrial sources, their white sources, their black sources who studied from their white sources. Because that's what they crave. They naturally crave that. They naturally crave it because they're connected to these people. They crave their information. They crave the philosophy of the beast. And now you black men, the majority of you are beast as well. You act like the white man because you were created here. That's why I kept saying we have to come from out amongst these people of the elect. These people who are the elect have to come from amongst those people who are not. It's not all of our people. It's not all of our people. It's not all and at a point it's going to come a time we're going to have to stop referring to these people as our people. Because our people, the bright race, we're sitting on the sideline and we're like, I can't believe some of the stuff black people do. Y'all sitting up here supposedly being black people, sitting up here saying, damn, I can't believe some of the stuff black people do. Why are you saying that? Because you really don't acknowledge the black race as your people. Because you are a totally different other species of people. You're not connected to them. They look like you, right? But they're not of you. They look like you. They sound like you somewhat. But you're starting to see a gap. You're starting to see a widening in the gap. You're starting to see a widening in the mental gap and in the physical gap in a minute. How you take care of yourself, the things you allow yourself to listen to versus the things that the black race allows themselves to listen to. Because I said your bright race, they are of the almond beings. They are the manifested. Your black race are of the human race. They are the ones who will stay here mentally. There will be no change for them. They are the ones who say there is nothing new under the sun. For them, there is nothing new under the sun. They are going to be the natural. They're going to be, I should say, constantly the foundational at the bottom of the human food chain or the human genetic. That's how they put it. And there's nothing you can do to wake these people up. You can't teach them nothing. They're already mentally dead. This was meant to happen. They were only meant to be a breeding ground for the God race. Your black race were only meant to be a breeding ground for the bright race. I'm going to say it again. Your black race were only meant to be a breeding ground for the bright race, those solar intelligent beings, those ones who are connected to God, Amen, that celestial one, a real physical man, not no spirit, not no spook, a highly intelligent man who has traveled through all of these dimensions, who has structured all of these dimensions, right? He has structured all of these dimensions and travels through them as an advanced man, sending intelligence to those who are in tune. Your bright race. Think only on Amen. Amen is not a creation of Egypt. That's a lie. And your so-called Egyptologists know that's a lie. Same way they know that the word Africa comes from the white man. I was saying that before, and I kept saying that came from the mindset of the white man, and now on your hidden colors too, they set up there and admitted it. Your so-called historians admitted that Africa come from the white man, from Leo Scipio Africanus. But what did the so-called notice this? After that information comes out, what do these Negroes in the so-called conscious community do? They still calling themselves Africans. They think because they put a K on it, it's going to be different. You know why they do that? Because they don't care that it came from the white man, because they're no different than the white man. They're no different. That's why they still accept his philosophies, his beliefs. No matter how much Pan-Africanism and black talk they do, after the truth came out on that, y'all supposed to stop calling yourself African. You understand that? But they're not going to do it. They'll just put a K on it, and then they'll talk about some nonsense about some Akibulan, some more nonsense that was made up. But that is a mental disconnection from God. That's why they do that. They seek after the order of man. Pay attention. We'll be right back. Even when these people if you ever notice, this is the mentality of the people who are manifested and those who are created. Your created ones, even your black ones, they will always be on the side of the rest of the created beings. What I mean by that, I said the Nation of Islam under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was powered by the almond beings, right? Not by Fard Muhammad or anything like that, but powered by the almond beings. Fard and Elijah and all that was all set up by the God race, the almond beings, to bring about an evolution in our people, to start the reception going, right? And you had people who had human mentalities, human traits, human bloodlines who went against it, like your Malcolm X. See all the white genes he had in him, the human genes he had in him, made him go against what the messenger was doing. He didn't understand it. The messenger kept saying, this is spiritual. This is spiritual. That was just, like I said, his way of saying that this was connected to God. This was from God. You understand? And Malcolm didn't understand it. He wanted to deal with his man. He wanted to be in the spotlight. He wanted to talk about politics. He wanted to talk about racism in America and all that stuff. And then Elijah Muhammad told him, look, man, we're not dealing with that. We dealing with the spiritual, meaning God, meaning that reception, looking into the future, forward motion. That's what the messenger was trying to tell him, but Malcolm X couldn't see that because he had the human genetic in him, and the human genetic will always go against the almond genetic for the other humans. So what did he do? Malcolm X went on the TV, dissed the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on the white man's TV because it was in him to do that. It was in him to do that. And like I said, a lot of black men, they don't have a problem with what he did. Like I said, I go back to that again. That's a perfect example of those of you who don't see a problem with that. You are of the human genetic, because you run right to the white man, the East Indian, all them, because you believe you're the same. As soon as Malcolm X, what he did, when he got over there to Mecca, for 12 years he accepted that the black man was God and that we was different from all these other people and whatever. Then he went over to Mecca, we all the same, because that was always in him. He always felt like that. He's part of the human race. He was part of the human connection, the human bloodline. The messenger wasn't. He didn't understand that. The messenger was from those people. He was a bloodline descendant of those fallen angels or those fallen messengers that came down to earth and took all the women they saw as fair. That's why when he was walking around on earth, the messenger, how did he act? What did he do? He took all the sisters that he thought was fair, he went in unto them and conceived with them. Did he not? That's a trait of an almond being. He was a living God, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He took all the women he saw in the nation that he thought was fair and went in unto them. The nation have a problem with that. Somebody saying, oh, brother, how you going to say it? It's the truth. He did what the God beings did when they came down here. You understand? Dr. York did the same thing. He took the sisters that he went in unto them, all them children he got. They are of the God connection. They do that. They come down, they plant their bloodline and they seed for the future. That's what they do. But because these Negroes is jealous and they wish they could do that, he was a pervert, or he was a player, he was a pimp, and all this other, because you mad because you couldn't do it? Because you're not of that God connection, or you're not of that God bloodline? That's why you hating on him? You hating on him because he was chosen to do that? Because he's of the bloodline? And you not? That was all that was about. The humans, they hate the almond beings because they are in or under them, and they're meant to be in submission to the God beings. After a while, Malcolm X didn't want to be in submission to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad represented that God race, or that God genetic, that almond genetic on earth. He represented it for his time. You understand that? He was the first of the resurrection of the God race, the almond beings. You understand? Damn sure wasn't no Muslim, or what you think is a Muslim. That was just a cover, because he didn't follow the ways of any Muslims or what they call Islam. That was a cover. The same way the almond beings planted their bloodline and they seed in the human race as a cover to eventually bring about an evolution. Now the evolution has started. The evolution has started. The people that was around him didn't understand what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was. They thought he was the messenger. No, he was God in person. Fard was the messenger. He brought the message and he left. And he opened up the reception by telling Elijah Muhammad things. He opened up the reception so that he could start receiving connection or reception from God, Amen, the future beings. And he started living it out in his life in real time. You understand that? They build. They erect. They resurrect. You understand? They're constantly building. They're constantly in reception. That's why in Egypt and all these places and even in America, we put up those obelisks. We was the first ones to put the obelisk up. Why? Because the obelisk represented an antenna. Reception with the God race. We put the obelisk up to denote reception, communication, mental communication. You understand? Meaning communication with Amen. Mental communication, man-to-man communication. Your Israelites, right? When they do their ceremonies, they blow on a horn called the shofar, right? You heard the horn, the shofar that they blow on? What does that horn represent? That horn is one of the horns that were connected to the crown of Amen. Amen had a horn crown, right? Amen had a crown on his head that had two horns, right? Goes back to your cornu ammonis, the two horns that connect the two hippocampus areas of the brain. The Israelites blowing a horn, right, called the shofar. That horn comes from Amen's crown. And what is that crown? What does that horn represent? It represents an antenna. And when the Israelites blow the horn, what is it doing? It's sending out a frequency, right? It's sending out a frequency to bring people together, right? To start a ceremony or to start reception. They don't even know why they do that, why they use a horn, a ram's horn. They don't even understand that. That's how the reception got passed down, and it got lost in translation through human connection, through the creation. The created ones lost our reception and our intelligence in their mess of information and confusion. You understand that? Gods walking amongst men, Amen beings, advanced beings walking amongst men. What made the God beings different from the human beings? Reception, intelligence, the random access to future intelligence. That's what made them different. Whereas some of you can understand what's being said, and you can logically understand and hear it and listen to it, and you can download this into your memory. Whereas the majority of the rest of these Negroes, it sounds crazy, I don't know, but they can go sit around here and listen to the white man talk about Jesus or Allah or Jehovah or Moorish science or whatever. They can sit around and listen to that. Or some Negro talking about some Shango African teaching. Why? Because they are people of the land. They are people of the earth. You understand that? They are people of the earth. Just as this frequency is too high for them, meaning it is not from here. This intelligence is not from here. They're not going to be able to receive it. They're not going to be able to pick it up. It's not for them. That's why I said don't look for the black race to get this in this day and time. You understand that? You know? Let me see. I'm going to go into the thing. So I guess you guys won't understand he gets his knowledge straight from white books, Timothy Leary, and how he started your own religion. I never read a book on Timothy Leary, and if that's you, Shabazz, that shows that you're a demon. If that is you, that shows you a demon. I thought you moved on, but you come in here under a different name. See? You know? See? Helen Blagojevsky. I never read any of these people in my life. I don't have any books in my home. But see, you can't believe that because that's what you do. You follow the information of man. And where does man get his information from? Man, those ones who are of the elite, like your Helen Blagojevsky and all the Timothy Leary, they get their reception or they get their connection from that which they steal out of the atmosphere. I didn't read any of these people's books, but I know you find that hard to believe because you read their books. You know their names. You read their books because you follow the white man. You the one that follow him, but you accuse me. I'm talking about this person there calling themselves great Muslim. That's funny. You know? Actually, no, that's not me. Oh. Right. Okay. But that's crazy, though. You know, that's funny. That is so funny. I broke for a second to do that. Because people in the chat room say I'm sitting up here reading books from all these other people. And I'm not reading any of these nobody books, but you find that hard to believe. Because you got your head up the white man's ass. You got your head in his books. You care about his conspiracy theories, so you think naturally I can. You think that everything that he says I get from him because you follow after his order. No. I receive it from where the elite receive their intelligence from, which is from Amen. That's where I receive mine from. But I know you can't accept it because you're not getting it. Right? So, because, Sumerian tablets, I ain't Shabazz. Okay, well, if you're not Shabazz, then that's fine. Yeah, the Sumerian tablets. I spoke briefly about the Sumerian tablets. I spoke briefly about that. But like I said, the Sumerians, they understood things for their time. I was piecing together a puzzle. I don't need to talk about the Sumerian tablets. I made reference to the Sumerian tablets to piece together a puzzle to show you something as reference points for the people who want reference points. I don't need to go back and do that. I could logically break down the whole argument, but you got to use reference points sometimes from what's in the world so that people can understand it. But like I said, that's what happens when you got a person who follows the mindset of mankind. He believes that all intelligence comes from mankind because he's an informative person. He looks to them as his authority, his author, so he can't acknowledge that inspiration or a mental connection from God would come from a man. Come from a man who looks like him or a so-called black man. They can't acknowledge that. That's just too far out. But where did the white man get his information from? Where did the Sumerians get their information from? Who taught them? Who taught them? They just came up with it on their own? Everything just came up, they just thought all this up one day? Or were they in communication with something? Right. Gilgamesh epics, like, where did they wrote stuff down. They were writing things down from things they saw. They came in contact with. Who did they come in contact with? If they came in contact with supreme beings or beings who came from another world, then that means none of that came from them. So what are you talking about? They just wrote stuff down. But like I said, that's your mind. That's your confusion. You follow man. You think intelligence comes from man. It doesn't. All these people do is write down information and follow what advanced people have come and done. Whether they calling them Anunnaki, whether they call them ᴄRᴇᴜ, whatever they calling them. But like I said, my intelligence comes from those people, those advanced ones. I don't need to talk about the Gilgamesh epics. I don't need to talk about the ᴄRᴇᴜ. I don't even know. Like I said, I heard Helen Blavatsky, whatever her name is, but I don't read these people books. But it's whatever. It's whatever. Like I said, this is what they do. This is what they do. Those of you who were really hearing me and listening, you already know what I'm saying. And you already see what this person is doing. They want to bring their level of ignorance because they can't get any connection with anything beyond this, beyond man. So, of course, I can't. Or nobody else can. You understand? That's all. The Amunite doctrine. Amunites. What is the Amunites? Again, Amunites. They talking about Egypt. We're not talking about no gods from Egypt. See? They don't even get that. You understand? Amunites. That's a doctrine. And when the Amens, or you talking about Amun, that's a doctrine that the so-called Egyptians came up with, trying to understand those Amun beings who came. But, I'm done. Whatever. When these beings, these Amun beings came here in physical form, and they did a walkthrough of the planet, and they left their bloodline here, right? It was only meant for them to pull reception. Their bloodline was only meant to pull reception and receive inspiration from them. They didn't look to man, right? They didn't look to man. They didn't look to man and his information. They didn't have to pick up books and read books. They didn't have to. they normally received inspiration. Same inspiration as I said, where man received the idea or had the image generated in his head to produce planes, cars, automobiles, just as he receives information. Like I said, dead receivers are usually your humans. They don't receive. They got to look to other men. Right? Like I said, these people who had a problem with what I'm saying, like I said, those people who had a problem with what I'm saying, pick up the phone and call in. Like I said, I don't really like to, I'm not trying to argue back and forth, but I like to, from time to time, look in the chat room and whatnot, right, and see who's listening. But like I said, if I made a mistake in mentioning somebody's name, that's fine. And by the way, those who saying that, there's those who saying that, like I said, pick up the phone and call in. Don't hide in the chat room. You understand? I always open myself up. The funny thing is I open myself up to this. But like I said, I'm not going to be taken off of the direction in which I'm going, because this is always meant to happen. These are people, like I said, they're caught up in Sumeria. They caught up in Egypt, right? And for the person who said stop saying their name, like I said, you coming into the chat room and you listening to the radio broadcast, I thought you moved on. You funny. But like I said, those people, like I said, these people are caught up in Egypt. They caught up in Africa. They caught up in Sumeria. They caught up in all these different places. So anything dealing with anything outside that they don't get it, or they want to come into this guy is doing this guy. Okay, if you say, you know what I'm saying, based on what I'm doing, I'm committing a fraud, which for what? They can't think beyond that box. These people are Egyptologists. They metaphysicians, right? These people are always coming from the conscious thing, and they listen because, like I said, their minds are taped in or tapped into mankind. They tapped into following his information, his philosophies. So anything that sounds different from that, they want to debate it. But like I said, it's not a problem. I don't have to mention any of that. They're reference points, right? Now you get to see, those of you in the chat room, you get to see what I'm talking about. I thank you guys for coming in the chat room, because they get to see the people who are connected to the human mentality. They bring in confusion, because nowhere, for those of you who are paying attention to anything I said, nowhere, if you are listening and you hearing what I'm saying, you see where you talk about you got knowledge that comes from people and you got knowledge that comes through people. If you are in tune, you understand the difference. Obviously, these people don't understand the difference. You understand? Wow. Now look in the chat room. Look, who is this? Who is this guy? He's teaching sex magic, family. Probably Randolph niggas look up to. Sex magic. I didn't say nothing about sex. Niggas, oh boy. I'm gonna just leave you guys in there just so everybody can laugh at you in the chat room. Right? That's the confused man. Those are the confused people. These are the confused people. When you do stuff like this, you're always going to get confused people, right? Sex magic. What is that? I don't even know what that is. These, like I said, these people got their heads up, the mankind's you know what, so they're going to say things like that. They're going to bring up all the things because that's all they resonate with. They love information. How many books have you guys read? How many books have you consumed from mankind? The things that stirred your imagination. How many things have you read from him? You consumed his books. I don't consume his books. I don't know these people. I heard their names, but I don't know their works. That information doesn't do anything for me. I'm interested in the intelligence of things. Intelligence hides within information in bits and pieces, but again, if you're not in tune, you can't pull out the fragments, nor can you start on your journey to start receiving intelligence, right? You're always going to have the black people come. You're always going to have those in darkness come. They'll listen to your radio broadcast. They'll say, oh, you lying, but then they'll sit and still listen to your radio broadcast. You understand? They'll sit and still listen to your radio broadcast. You understand? And he a Muslim, great Muslim. And here the Muslims enslaved our people, but you a Muslim. See? Told you. Got to follow the beast. Gotta follow the beast. See? That's you know, I'm gonna play a shout out when we get to the 30-minute mark for the mentally dead who came in the chat room and came talking about I'm reading Randolph Scott or whoever and Madam Blavatsky and all these other people who, like I said, who claim I read all this stuff. I'm playing a shout out for you, you know, because like I said, I might as well start looking for it now from in the 30-minute mark because we got 30 minutes into the broadcast, you know. Because y'all not really, I'm going to tell you something. Pick up the phone, and why don't you call? Why don't you be real men and pick up the phone and call? You know? The same place Dr. York got his teachings from where? What, the Moors? The Moors? Where? The white man? Like I said, pick the phone up. Don't hide in the chat room. You could call, pick the phone up, and talk to me. Don't hide in the chat room because you a coward. Pick the phone up, great Muslim or whatever you calling yourself, and ask me the question. Ask me the question. I'll answer your call. Pick the phone up. The number is 914-338-0504. Because it's funny how these niggas, they come up here, they never said nothing. They never tried to challenge Dr. York or come to class of the Bushwick, but they wait till he get locked up to start talking about he making up stuff, or they come in the chat room on my broadcast and they start talking about I'm making things up, or I'm reading Madam Blavatsky and all them white people that they don't read their books and got their head up their ass. Now they want to sit up here and accuse me of the same thing because you follow these people. Why don't you pick the phone up and call and ask the question? Ask the question instead of sitting in the chat room and slandering like a coward. Because that's all cowards do. You know? Yeah, 360 degrees, revolutionary knowledge, exactly. You follow the white man. You follow the white man. You know, you follow the white man. So, yeah, he's not going to call in. He's not going to call in. He's a coward. Great Muslim is a coward. I stand up and I do radio break. You never hear these niggas calling and say nothing. All they could do is stand on the sideline and talk about they Muslims. That show you these niggas are mentally dead. Because you calling yourself a Muslim in this day and time, you calling yourself a Christian in this day and time, you calling yourself an Israelite, that's the same thing as calling yourself a damn slave. With your slave teachings. Go sit down, slave. That just shows you mentally dead. But you know what? I'm not even mad at y'all because you doing what confused people do. You doing what black men do. You trying to cause confusion because you are confused. Like I said, you were born in a state of chaos and confusion. So you think everybody's sitting around here reading books and devouring books and fascinated by these white people when I'm not. You are, obviously. Well, I'm gonna play. I'm gonna find a song for y'all. I'm gonna find a song for you guys. Hold on. Because I'm in the 30-minute mark. I've been past the 30-minute mark. Hold on. Here we go. Sambo Contigo. For you great Muslim and for you baby, whoever the hell, you know what I'm saying, you sitting up here talking about, if that's what you saying, I'm studying somebody else's stuff and I'm reading some white man books, you understand, because you are. This is for you, Sambo Contigo. We'll be right back. Now you see that? I'm going to just tell you about the chat room. I kicked these Negroes out, Great Muslim and Baby Ruth or Truth or whatever this Negro name is. You know what it is? Like he said, and I'm glad the brother Cell Fluid said it. Humans come here to cause confusion. It proves. See, they accuse me of eating pork, and I think they said something about gay or me getting the brothers to shave their face. All this madness. These people don't even know me. I don't even know these people. These people, you know what they do? They are the ignorant who can't pick up the reception. We trying to keep the bar high. But you always got a nigga that'll come in here, some Negroes that'll come in here and try to lower the bar and play games. They're not man enough to call up and ask any questions. One of the guys used to listen to me, and then he got mad because I didn't want to hear some dream he was talking about one day. You know what I mean? And, some personal crap. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear no man dreams. You know what I mean? Some weirdo nonsense. And he got mad. So now I'm a con artist. If that's the person I'm thinking it is, now I'm a con artist. But why are you still listening to my broadcast? That's what I want to know. Why do you still listen to me? If I'm lying, I'm making up stuff and everything else, why are you still listening to me? These people used to sit spellbound by the stuff I would teach. Acknowledge that it's coming from on high. Now all of a sudden I'm a con artist because I said something that they didn't like, or I said something they personally didn't like, or I didn't want to hear their dreams, or I said something to rub them the wrong way. And I said, I'm not here to be your personal friend. I'm here to teach knowledge to my people and move on and keep it moving with my people. Not interested in you Negroes. Like I said, the fact that you calling yourself a Muslim in this day and time, you a joke. We done moved on. You understand? Go have a pork sandwich and go read the Quran. All right? Go read the dead-ass Quran. You know what I mean? And read about Muhammad and a bunch of Arabs in the desert. You try to find some intelligence in there because, like I said, you guys follow the white man or the Arab or somebody else. No, there's no logic or no intelligence. And because you know that, all you can do is come in here and try to lower the reception because that's what humans do. You did the same thing those white men did when they called here, those white boys called here and called me a nigger. Because they come in here to cause disturbance, and you ain't no different than them. You just a black version of them. Great Muslim, baby truth. You niggas are just black versions of the white man. You just black Caucasians, demons. That's why I kicked you niggas out. I kicked you niggas out. Cast you demon niggas out. See, because you didn't come here with no intelligent questions. You had nothing intelligent to say. I opened the phone line for you. And you didn't have nothing to say. That proves that you a coward. But I'm going to go ahead and take this call. 602.
Well, first off, that wasn't what that was about. You already know what that was about. See, I said that. I told you that reason because I wasn't going to tell you the real reason. You already know what the real reason is. So don't get up here and try to tell me. Is this Shabazz? Are you listening to my show, Shabazz? Shabazz, are you listening to my show? Are you listening to my show? No. Are you listening to my show? Don't try to put me out there like that. No. You came in the room. You came in the room as baby truth, right? I told you that. The reason why I told you that was because I didn't want to say the real reason. You already know the real reason. What's the real reason? Man. You know what the real reason is, man.
Shabazz, I don't even know. Shabazz, wait a minute. I don't even know you.
You already know the real reason.
What real reason, Shabazz? About what? What real reason?
Man,
I'm listening. What's the real reason?
You already know. So what
I know? Tell me what I know. I'm listening. Tell me what I know.
You already know, man.
Tell me what I know.
Don't even try. See?
Tell me what I know.
I'm not going to sit up here and name drop because you want me to say something so you could probably, go off and be like, oh, that ain't never happened and whoa.
Tell me what happened, Shabazz.
You already know what the real
Okay, well, let me explain this for the people since Shabazz called up here.
And the other person...
You came in... Wait a minute. You came...
The other person that know what the reason was, they had already contacted me about it. So that's why
what are you talking about, Shabazz? What are you talking about? I don't even... Now you're talking about a second person. What are you talking about?
I didn't want nothing to do with any legal situation that might arise from that. So it wasn't.
What are you talking about,
man? Don't play me like that.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Everybody who know me I'm a very intuitive person. I don't play around.
Okay, what are you talking about, Shabazz?
So if I told you about that and you went on and whatever in the same night, you went off about dreams or whatever, that's completely irrelevant to what it was about. Why I moved on. So don't.
Shabazz, what are you?
I'm
about to hang up because you're not even saying nothing.
You can hang up because
you causing disturbance. I thought you had a question. I thought you had a question. Okay, but was you sitting in? But was you sitting in the? Okay, but was you sitting in the chat room? Okay, but wait a minute. All right. I'm all right. Okay, fine. Bye, Shabazz. No, was you sitting in the chat room? Was you sitting in the chat room? Was you sitting in the chat room talking about making up all this stuff about me? Okay, you know what? All right, bye,
I don't know who that nigga was.
Okay, because you're not answering my question. You're getting emotional here, and you're doing an emotional rant. You're not answering my question. You're trying to take everything off. Like I said, if you're sitting in the chat room, I apologize to you, brother, if I was wrong in saying that was you making all these negative statements or whatever the case may be. But I moved on from that. Just like you moved on, I moved on from that. But for you to call here and do that, like I said, I ain't got time for that. Next call. Hello?
Shabazz, you're a clown. You said you moved on, but you're still in the chat room. You're still listening to the broadcast. Move on.
Exactly.
Move on.
Exactly.
Why couldn't you explain what you were talking about?
I asked how many opportunities did I give him?
You're a coward, Shabazz. I hear you all over the on different blog talk radios. You're a confused human. Don't call here anymore. I don't even come on the line anymore until I come down to register with the state of Mental. But you guys get the hell off the phone lines and get out of the chat room. It's not for you. Move on.
Thank you. That's all I've been saying. I gave him an opportunity to tell me what the problem was, and he never noticed he didn't say nothing. He just want to come here and be emotional about it. I gave you an opportunity. He talking about some legal issue. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He came in the chat room. He talking about he moved on. He don't listen to me no more. Then he tells me, well, he going to take what I say and he going to teach other people it, but he not going to form a religion like I'm trying to form a religion. I'm like, all right, man, have a nice day, man. You bugged out your damn mind. I gave you a chance. I ain't got no time for nobody any emotional problems and emotional issues. He made it an issue, like I said. But you'll always get this, see, because they know ain't nobody's dropping nothing on this level tonight or in this day and time. They know that. That's why they got to come back and listen. Where else you gonna go? Why you still hiding under a different name, listening to my broadcast? But that's like you said. That's the confused human. So we moved on from that. We moved on. So thanks for calling. But you got a question? Hello?
No. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I hear you.
Okay. No, I don't have a question. I'm not gonna call. I'm gonna just listen, and I'm not gonna call or I'm not gonna chime in or anything. Until I get down. All right. But you guys stay away. Just get out of here. It's not for you.
Exactly.
Don't come in here and disrupt the reception. You can't stop it. You can't stop it. You can't disrupt it. Don't waste your time.
That's all.
Peace.
That's all. That's it. Thank you.
Peace.
718. 718. Thank you. Hello? 718, you on the air?
Yes, Nubin. This is David. I have a question.
Yes, Big Dave. What's going on, brother?
Yes, I came to the reception, right?
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to know, how do I... Wait, hold on. Let me load on my computer. Hold on. And I wanted to know, how do I... Yeah,
I hear them echoes there, guy.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah. All right, since the last reception, you told me the best thing for us to do is to come together, right? And I wanted to know, how, until the next reception, what am I supposed to do as far as advancing my my mental state? Do you meditate, or what do you recommend, as a daily activity to help advance your mind, or just
when you get off the air, you give me a call and whatnot. You got my number. I was starting to tell the brothers and the sisters gradually. If you seen what I did in the last reception, where I started making the reception toward Amen.
I did that. I started doing that.
Okay. Did you at 3 in the morning? 3 in the morning for 3 minutes. All right? 3 in the morning for 3 minutes and whatnot, and the tone and whatnot. You'll see it. You'll start to see a difference. Then you start to separate yourself from these people who are not on your level mentally. They're going to start to separate from you.
We're going to
start. Oh yeah, well, perfect, good, beautiful.
Already did.
They did you a favor. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. They're going to repel or they're going to attract to you and whatnot. The ones who's supposed to be amongst you, because we in the time of the raising right now. So you're going to hear all of this madness. You're going to hear these Negroes coming out the woodwork. Like I said, the beast done come down in fury, and that's not just the white one, but the black beast too, knowing that their time is short, man. They knowing that they religions and their mindset is up out of here. So we coming into the time of the elect. But to answer your question, like I said, we're going to start the brothers. We're going to start coming together more and whatnot, because the best thing in speeding up this intelligence is coming together collectively and going out and finding our people, because we're going to make that our mission in life. I'm going to tell you on the 24th, like I said, we're going to start doing collective reception together and whatnot, and then going out and finding our people, because it's time to strengthen this new nation, this new state of Mentel, and move forward as Armin's people. Okay?
Yes, a second part question before I get off the phone. How do I get my name?
You got to get You got to become a member. Like I said, we're gonna we initiate and all. We're gonna open the books up and have the brothers entered in. You know what I'm saying? To join the state of Mintel. We're gonna have them brought in and the sisters brought in and whatnot. They're gonna be entered into the state and whatnot because people already start getting their names already, as you can see. You know what I mean? So, like I said, the book of names, the Mentelian book of names, is only for state of Mintel members and mentalists. It's not for people outside the state of Mintel.
Okay, I gotta earn it.
Yeah, you got to earn it. Everybody got to earn it. Everybody got to earn their stripes on the street, brother.
I'm willing to do it.
Yeah, we earning our stripes, brother. We moving on. It's a new movement, a new day. It ain't, there is something new coming from beyond the sun, a new reception. All these other Negroes who still caught up in Egypt and caught in Africa and Islam want to call up here and try to cause confusion. We already see you for who you are. Like I said, so have a nice day.
Yeah, you're right. All right. So you continue your broadcast. Sorry.
All right, brother.
All right. Bye.
602?
Yeah, man. Yeah, hey.
Again?
You can hear
Come
me
on, man.
You can hear me on Carbon Radio, like he said. Yeah, you did hear me on Carbon Radio.
Thank
so
you.
You can hear me up there from here.
All right, thank you. I can't. Like I said, move on. Just move on. I'm not going. Shabazz, I promise you, I will not mention your name again. I swear to you, on my unborn children, I swear I will not mention your name again whatsoever. I don't got time. All right, I don't have time. All right, for nonsense. So let me go ahead and answer these questions before we get up out of here. All right. Let me see. Who are the manifested and created people on earth? The manifested people on earth are the people who are from the direct bloodline of the Amen beings, the God race. Your created people are from the earth, are the earthbound people who were created here on earth, who were created in the water here on earth. You have a God gene and you have a human gene. You have a lot of black humans on earth. 2/3 of the black race are part of the human race. 1/3 is part of the Amen race, the God race. That 1/3 represents the 13th tribe or the 13th government that's going to come up in the new day. That's why when this government got started, they started with 13 nations and their union, because 13 represents a new day, and it's representing that 13th tribe or that next level of people who are in tune with God, who have God's name in their forehead. All right, so that's the difference today. What is the difference between the two? Like I said, one, the manifested ones come directly from the bloodline of the Amen beings, right? And the Amen beings use the human genetic to pass their bloodline through to cause an evolution, you understand, in the Amen beings to put them through a revolutionary course, or a course of life, or a circle of life, in order for them to come to a state of evolution. We are in that state of evolution right now as the Amen beings. We are waking up in this day and time. Okay? Let me see. Who are the God-sent people? The God-sent people are the people who came through the bloodline of the human race as the Amen beings. They are the ones who were sent here to evolve or go through this obstacle course called human life on earth in this revolutionary state, and eventually break the circle or think their way out of what y'all call the matrix here. I mean, this circle of life, to think beyond the circle and outside the box. That was meant to happen. That's what we're going through today, and the majority of our people are not going to be part of that. All right? So, are black people descendant from the gods? No. Black people are not descended from gods. The Amen beings the bright race are descended from the gods, those who have solar intelligence. Because I said those of our people, you got those of our people who are of the God race, the Amen beings, and those who are of the human race. The black race, the majority of them are of the human race. They are of the 2/3, or that people that were born here. They are earthbound. That's why when we start talking about higher intelligence and higher knowledge, they can't never say anything beyond Islam, beyond Christianity, beyond the white man, beyond Ivan Van Sertima, beyond the Sumerians, beyond what's the guy, Dr. Ben. They can't say nothing beyond what's the guy Zechariah Stitchens. They called Dr. York lies, so he copied off of this one, copied off of that one, but they couldn't even see the things that Dr. York, all they could go and connect with it was some things where Dr. York mentioned these people, because Dr. York and myself, we use all those past cultures as reference points to point to to put together a puzzle and point to the future. It's not the foundation of Mentellect is not based on the past. It is based on the future. But you have to make reference points to the past in order to show a direct line to the future. I mean, maybe y'all slow. Those of you who don't understand that, maybe you don't get it. Maybe you kind of slow that you don't see I'm making reference points, that's not what this teaching is based on. It's not based on Sumeria. It's not based on Egypt. It's not based on cuneiform. It's not based on no metaphysics. It's not based on that. Just because your teachings is based on that, that's why you sit up here and think that I'm doing that. Because you heard me mention this or mention something about that. You know, you just make stuff up because that's what you do. You hear to cause confusion. That's the demented mind. You know, that's the people with the demented minds, the demons. All right? Are created and manifested beings supposed to mix their seed? No, they are not. No, they are not. That's how we got in trouble. We broke the reception. We're supposed to only mix with the manifested ones, the ones who are of the God genetic, not with the humans, because when you do that, things get lost in translation. Reception gets lost. Memory gets lost when you mix your seed with the those of the human. That goes for your black humans, your white humans, your Asian humans, all of the human race. So don't think just because a person share the same skin complexion as you that they are of the almond race. They are not. A lot of your black people are of the human race. Do not mix your seed with them. They're not to be mixed with. All right? How has this impacted the genetics of the God-sent people? It threw us off in our reception, a lot of us. But we're starting to get our reception back. That's why, like I said, to you, Brother Shabazz, I apologize to you. I will take this opportunity to apologize to you, see, because I don't want any problems. I'm not trying to argue with you. I don't got time to get in any arguments with you. Like I said, I apologize. I'm going to say it publicly. If there was a misunderstanding between the Brother Shabazz, I shouldn't have said your name. I apologize because I don't want to get into any arguments with anybody. I ain't got time for all that. Okay? So I publicly apologize. This will be the last time I mention your name or any situation that transpired between me and you when we spoke on the phone. This will be the last time I mention it. So you don't have any need to call back here no more since you moved on. Okay? And that's it. The end. End of story. So we've come to the end of our broadcast. This has been a beautiful night. I hope I've answered everyone's questions. Those of you who had a problem with the things I said, you should have called in and asked a question. Because, you know, other than getting some simple-minded Negro getting in the chat room and causing confusion, because that's what dumb Negroes do. They get in and cause confusion because they confused. They can't come in and ask any real question. I gave you the phone line, opened the floor up for you to ask a question or disprove what I'm teaching is wrong, and you didn't do it. So that tells me you're a coward. All right? I don't deal with cowards. I deal with real people who got real questions, who got real concerns, who have real issues that they want to address to me. And that's it. All right? So I am the intellectual Nuben Menkarayzz. This has been State of Mentel Radio. Join us Friday night for the criminal curse on America. The criminal curse on America. We're going to talk about that. Once again, I am the intellectual Nuben Menkarayzz. This has been State of Mentel Radio. Good night, people.
It's the Republic of Mentellect, rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the Republic of Mentellect, black race to the white race. If it's hell, and then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite capabilities that we can